Just to catch up, we're doing flowers and thorns, so we'll introduce our names, our sip shop's name, and then a flower, maybe something good that happened, something that you really enjoyed, or a good story that happened from like sip shops, and then thorn could be like maybe a lesson learned that you had from sip shops. So I'm gonna mute myself, and then Yoha, could you go next, please?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Yoha Milan and I work for Sooner Success. And we have, I work for Cleveland County with Eva. And our Respite Sip Shops is called Agape Corner. We do it a Cross Point Torch in Norman. And then a flower could be like probably the, to see all the kids having fun while we're doing the program is beautiful. I mean, I feel like flowers all around. One of the thorns could be like that I mean, I've been learning how to be more organized with time and with volunteers as well, getting volunteers to be involved with us. Yeah, that could be. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, Gwen's AI is is Gwen here? I hope she is. But if she's not, no worries. We'll go on to Miriam. Um, Miriam, could you introduce your name, your sip shop's name, and maybe a flower and a thorn?
Hi, my name is Miriam. Our sip shop name is, remind me again, Samantha.
Girly, it's Roots of Love.
Yes, but I was going to say it in Spanish. I forgot
Raíces de Amor. Yeah, I got you.
it. Raíces de amor. Yes. The flower could be that the same kids are coming every time we have it. So that's exciting. The thorn could be it's getting darker. I don't know.
And it's getting a lot scarier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of in the Oklahoma City area, and there's a lot of homelessness. And I remember like them walking to their cars has been an issue in the past. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, Miriam is like she said, Roots of Love. But the very special thing about Roots of Love is that it's mostly all teenagers. And even at the national level, they've talked about how hard it is for them to engage with teenagers. So if you have teenager questions, Miriam seems to have the answers. So yeah.
So,
And Miriam, if you have the upcoming dates for your sip shops, please put them in the chat while everybody else goes. Thank
okay.
you. All right, Miss Rona, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm Rona Tracy, Stillwater Sib Shops. We came up with that very original name. And Payne County, we cover that area, and we would take people from the surrounding counties that I work with Sooner Success if they want to drive. Our first Sib Shop will be November 16th. We're bringing it back to Stillwater after it being gone for at least 8 to 10 years. So my flower would be where we have a lot of excited volunteers. My thorn is trying to get people to sign their families up because no one really understands what it is. We're also doing a respite portion, so I have lots of questions for the group.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, Rona. We got answers, I think. No, we do. Almita, would you like to go next?
Sí, nomás que me traduces.
Sí, claro, claro. So, diga su nombre, el Zip
Yeah.
Shops del que usted participa, y la flor es algo bonito que pasó en Zip Shops,
Sí.
¿qué sería la astilla? Sería algo
La
como
espina.
la espina, gracias. Algo que aprendieron. Ujú.
Okay, my name is Almita Chavarría. The name del sitio shops es Raíces de Amor. Y pues estamos en Oklahoma City. La flower, creo, de esta, vamos a decir, nuestro último sitio shops es que tuvimos 2 familias nuevas. ¿Quieres traducir?
Oh, estaba tomando notas para que esté terminada, but her flower was that she did all that in English, so I'm just going to translate the flower. The flower was that she had 2 new families come to the sip shops this past recent sip shops.
Sí, y pues la espina es que, bueno, es que nosotros no solo tenemos Sibshops, si quieres hacer la aclaración que tenemos también el grupo de padres y el cuidado de los niños al mismo tiempo.
Yeah, so she wanted to clarify that Roots of Love doesn't just do sib shops and respite. They also have a parent group that meets simultaneously.
Y entonces la espina sería para mí que las dos familias que llegaron, una viene de Texas y otra viene de México, pero sus hijos con condición no son nacidos aquí y tengo como esa barrera para poder conectarlas con recursos, no sé cómo ayudarles.
So she said the thorn is that she has two new families participating in the parent group, but one of them's from Texas, one of them's from Mexico, and their kids were not born in the United States. So she's having that barrier of connecting them to services that they qualify for, and she's not really sure how to best support them. Y en ese caso, sé que Joha ya tiene mucho conocimiento de recursos, pero también Mayra y Michelle serían las coordinadas de Oklahoma City County, y si ellas no tienen las respuestas, la conectarían las familias con alguien más que tenga las respuestas. Or just briefly mentioning that Joha is very knowledgeable and bilingual in resources, but we also have Myra and Michelle that coordinate the Oklahoma County. So if they don't have the answers, because it is a tough conversation, they could direct to the people that do. So, quedamos al tanto de eso, Almita. A usted. Kayla, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Kayla Hartford. I work for Red Rock Behavioral Health Services, and my SIB shop name is Weatherford SIB Shops. My flower would be that Jonah Arthur is able to help whenever Mariah is not, so that's really good to have another person automatically available. And my thorn would be that we have not had more than 3 people attend any of our SIB shops yet.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. We've got an Enid We Rock the Spectrum coming on the team, and I feel like those rural communities really speak a different language than the urban ones. So hopefully more of us can kind of find those answers that we need to boost, families. But thank you for being here, Kayla. And Lakeisha, I believe that you were here when I explained what we're doing, but let me know if I need to clarify.
No, I get it. So my name is Lakeisha Edwards. I am our SIP shop's name is Toontown with Creoles and Mental Health Association, Oklahoma. The flower would be a lot of our kids have came back that were at our last series. A thorn. I guess not being able to have enough bodies to have SIP shops every month. We had to move it to every other month.
Gotcha. Thank you, Lakeisha. All right, you guys, I will move on to our updates. Yeah, we're going to cover real briefly statewide updates, the payment process, and the attendance tools, because I know we've been, collectively having trouble getting getting our facilitators paid in a timely manner. So I definitely want to clarify kind of what the process looks like, and then I want to leave enough time for our amazing guest speakers to, inspire us and, let us know what strategies they're using to make SIP shops work in their areas. And then, of course, an open discussion just on how we can make things brighter and better in our areas. So how exciting, you guys. I think we had at some point just St. Mark's happening in Oklahoma. Unfortunately, a lot of our SIP shops had died down, but on the left side, you'll see that we now have St. Mark's in Bethany, Roots of Love in Oklahoma City, Creoles and Mental Health Association SIP shops in Tulsa, Agape Corner in Norman, Weatherford SIP shops in Weatherford. I think I butcher y'all's name every time. My apologies if I always pronounce it, but Weatherford SIP shops, Yukon SIP shops, Lincoln County Foster Care SIP shops, and Unity Circle Sibshops, which is also in Oklahoma City. And then the new additions are Stillwater Sibshops, which Miss Rona is representing today. We're working on a couple of presentations and hopefully new Sibshops with the Oklahoma Indian Child Welfare Association. We've got a Podo Sibshops that is slightly trying to revive, but we're working on it. And of course, our Enid Sibshops that I have now just this Friday been approved to utilize their new We Rock the Spectrum in Enid. So again, like we're doing amazing work in reaching out to these rural communities that really need the support. Plus, thanks to our coordinator, Michelle, we had the opportunity to present, what the work that we were doing with siblings to Spanish-speaking families in Enid. You wouldn't believe it, but there are so many Hispanic families there, and this was all new to them, had never considered like the siblings. So, they're super excited to see a Sib Shops coming to them soon. And then just very briefly, some of the projects that we've got going on that are ongoing. A Sib Shops toolkit, which means that as facilitators come, they have hopefully, ideally, all the resources that they need, including crafts, instructions on how to use the attendance tool, the invoices, just all the questions that you guys have had as you've been setting up your Sib Shops. Would love to have it all in one toolkit, ready and set to go for those new Sib Shops facilitators. So that's in the works. Facilitator training, hopefully next year, if the funding aligns well. We are bringing back Emily. Don't hold me to it. Not legally binding, but I think that's the plan, to have another facilitator training soon next year. Don't quote me. The Sibling Voices newsletter, which I'll talk about here in a bit. We have a year-round application for sibling camp. One of the barriers that we saw is that it is so coveted. Like a position going into sibling camp is so highly coveted. So many families want to attend, but unfortunately, we, maybe they didn't hear about it or they heard about it, but they were confused on how to apply. So we have an interest form, and I'll share the link with you here in a bit, for families to attend. And as well as through that link, they can also sign up to be a part of other Sib Shops across the state, as well as volunteer, and multiple other ways for them to stay engaged with sibling and other Sooner Success events. And yeah, like I mentioned, there's a high interest for new training, so working on that to get approved for next year. And then ongoing projects include the monthly Sib Shop facilitator meeting, which I definitely understand that finding a time that works for everyone is difficult, but I really want to make it work. So I appreciate y'all's patience. I don't know if Monday, I would like to keep Monday at 6:30, but I'm gonna go ahead and send another doodle poll to just try to find a time that works for most of everyone. But I am, like I was talking to Chelsea, I plan on keeping my 9 a.m. that I had previously open just as my office hours, and then do an evening time, because I understand that a lot of you guys do this work off the clock. So I want to make sure that you're not, I'm not interrupting your work meetings or whatever to talk about these things. So, I'm gonna offer an evening time and a daytime. Hopefully catch as many of you guys as I can. So keep an eye out for another doodle poll to just find the best time for everyone. Sib Shops also works with the Children's Behavioral Health Conference and does the Kids Corral. That's that middle picture right here. We've been very lucky to have the collaborators that we have, and Creoaks and Mental Health Association have done an amazing job at creating a sibling day camp. I know my boss absolutely has loved the idea of a sibling day camp, and I think she hopes to kind of create more and more opportunities like that for especially rural communities. So we hopefully this year or next year hope to expand on those sibling day camps. I also really want to be more intentional about National Sibling Day. If you all have any ideas of what that could look like, let me know. I'm definitely all ears. Definitely increasing our attendance and our advocacy in the Sibling Leadership Network, as well as the National Sib Shops Advisory Board, which is a, shall I say, international meeting where all of the, I guess, like head coordinators for states and countries meet and talk about, hey, what's going on? What can we do better? What are we missing? And so it's really cool. And I say international because Canada's on there, and I think Australia pops in every now and then. So, we're getting the most high quality and information, and we're staying up to date. And I honestly think we're blowing people out of the water. Like, I think they're very impressed with all the amazing work that you guys are doing in Oklahoma. So props to you all for the work that you do. And they are, because I think Creox and mental health, you guys had mentioned to me that you needed a bit more of support with the teen voices. So there is a teen voices meeting tomorrow. And if you guys are interested, let me know in the chat and I can forward that to you. But again, they're trying to like make sure that the programming is growing with the kids as well. And so that includes these teens that they're unfortunately dropping off. Not the case of Miriam and Roots of Love, but still happening at a larger scale regardless. And then, of course, trying to engage our adult siblings, which I've unfortunately dropped the ball on, but I hope to pick it back up in the next year. And yeah, so these are our Sibling Voices, Sibling Voices newsletter, which is a part of the Sooner Success Voice newsletter, which Eva, who's on the call, helps us, organize. I want to invite you all to utilize this link, and I can also send it on my follow-up email to you all. Utilize this link if you want to nominate a sibling that's doing amazing things in their community. Maybe it's a presentation that they do in their classroom to talk about disability awareness and disability advocacy, or maybe they, it can be super big, it can be super small. I just want to make sure that we're, highlighting all these awesome siblings that we have across the state. So if you have somebody that you want to nominate, just put it through this chat and we'll make sure that they get a spotlight at some point in our newsletter. You can also sign up through our newsletter in this middle QR code. We have a Facebook and of course our website. I definitely understand and I hear you when we were talking about how parents don't really understand exactly what we're doing and why, they should be interested in SIP shops. I did a little mini one pager just because I think sometimes we hand flyers out and they don't ever pick it back up. They might not pick this back up either, but I just wanted to maybe narrow down what a SIP shops was in a one pager. Again, I can definitely send this PDF to you all if you want to print it out. Or if you need copies of these and you don't have like a printer or the means to like be able to print it out, let me know and I can send you guys copies. But what I like about this is that yes, it explains SIP shops, but it also explains ways that families can stay connected. So that includes through our website, our newsletter, our Facebook. Again, nominating an amazing sibling down here, and how to sign up as an interest for our sibling camp. And this is the QR code that I was talking about, which would include an interest form for Sibling Camp 2025, camp volunteers, respite volunteers, SIP shops facilitators that are interested in, facilitating, and just any and all other volunteer opportunities. What my hope is when I go to events and I talk about, SIP shops, this is where I want to funnel all of these interests. And if one comes that is maybe living in Tulsa and wants to be engaged with the Tulsa SIP shops, that's kind of, I have all their names in one place that I can then route to you with their information. So that's my hope, at least, because I meet awesome people all the time and I want to make sure that they're making it to you guys. And yeah, if you haven't already, please share your flyers or any upcoming SIP shop dates in the chat. And last but not least, in my housekeeping, the Sibling Support Project, which is, the at a national/international level, they're the ones that are putting on all of these SIP shops. They are doing an end of year survey, which asks questions about what impact SIP shops has had on the kiddos. Maybe it also asks questions about their facilitators and how they feel about their facilitators, if the space has been, comforting for them, or if it's maybe, whatever. It's an end of year survey that I would love for us to try to like push in our SIP shops. I've made a deal with them because I was going to make my own end of year survey and send it out to you guys, but they agreed that if we push this out they would just send us the specific Oklahoma specifically data. So if you all want to try that out, let me know. And I can send you either like physical copies, or again, I'll send the link in the follow-up email. But I would really like for us to do this this year. It's just data that helps us make sure that we're going in the right direction. And it gives the kiddos an opportunity to give us some feedback. If what we're doing is working, what we could do to change it. I love asking kiddos their feedback because I feel like when they tell us what they want, they also kind of feel a sense of responsibility for what we're doing, and a sense of leadership. So I love that two-way communication. And yes, again, great work. You guys are doing amazing. Oh, and here's a picture. I met the one and only creator of Sibshops. I was super excited, so I screenshot it and put it in the chat. His name escapes me right now. I'm the worst. Okay. Stipends. In order to qualify, I know, some people have had questions about this, so I definitely want to make sure that I hit this as hard as I can. In order to qualify for stipends, the person that's getting paid must not be getting paid by another agency already. So for example, if somebody on our team wanted to run a Sibshops and be the facilitator for Sibshops, they cannot be paid by Sooner Success like an hourly wage and also get the $100, because that we would be paying them twice. So that's not allowed. They would ideally not be paid by another agency. They'd be off the clock and doing the Sibshops in order for us to pay them. And they, of course, must be an integral part of the Sibshops development. In the past, like, I was under the impression that, volunteers could be paid through the stipend, but that's not the purpose of the stipend. The stipend is to support those that are creating the Sibshops across the state. And that money is, respected as best as we can so that it can go even further and support all these other rural Sibshops that are popping up. So, again, must not be paid by another agency and must be an integral part of the Sibshops development. The quantity, each location is given $100 worth of a stipend. If you have more than one facilitator, they would either have to split it or take turns. Like maybe one person gets the $100 one month, another person gets the $100 another month. We know this isn't like significant amounts of money, but it's just a way for us to say thank you and show you our appreciation for the work that you're doing. I also want to make sure that I note that if your Sibshops is in need of supplies or is in need of food, there is kind of like a chain of commands. So I would need like an Excel sheet or like some kind of list of the supplies that you need. And in order for me to order that stuff for you and then get it mailed to you or send you a gift card, I would first need to get it approved through my boss to make sure that this is something that qualifies, or it's not something that we already have that I could give you. So I definitely need that at least a week beforehand to give us enough time to order the supplies as cheap as we can get them. And that's it. Just be very like communicative with me if there is something that you need. I don't want you guys to have to be spending money out of your own pocket. That there shouldn't be a need for that. If we have the funds to pay for the supplies, we'll pay it through our funds. But again, let's just talk about it. And if there's something that you need, just reach out, and I'll make sure that I can get it approved and then mail it to you or send you a gift card if that's available. But will always be a case by case. So just make sure you're talking to me. The payment options for stipends will always be mailed. So when you're filling out the invoice and you're filling out the the vendor form, make sure that the address is the same. If the vendor form and the invoice don't have the same address, they're going to spit it back out, and we'll have to do the whole thing over again. If you plan on requesting your stipend, you must first turn in the vendor form only once, which takes a bit of time just because they're very meticulous about setting vendors up initially. And then you would have to turn in an invoice for each Sibshops. Now, I had a problem with how these invoices were coming in. Sometimes they were texts, sometimes they were emails, sometimes there were smoke signals, and it was just really hard. And I'm also not organized, so it didn't work out. But we made this attendance tool that has been a lifesaver, and I really appreciate you guys utilizing it. When you enter your SIP shop's name, your SIP shop volunteers, the demographics of your SIP shops, as well as, okay, I have those numbers, and that helps me make sure track like our growth, or like maybe we've dipped in attendance, and just make sure that I know how I can best help you. You guys would always email me, hey, what's the vendor form? I can't find it. What's the invoice? It's all there. You can click on it, download it, and from your phone you can sign it, or you can print it and then sign it, scan it on your phone, and then upload it with this button. It is absolutely amazing. And when you hit submit, it sends me an email that says, hey, this person submitted an invoice. That as soon as I get it, I sign it and I send it to my boss, who then, signs it and approves it. And then my boss sends it to our business team. My business team then sends it to OU Health Sciences Center so they can route it to get you paid. The issue that we're having is that the vendor form takes a bit longer to process. So if you send the vendor form and the invoice at the same time, you're going to have to wait to get paid until the vendor form gets approved. So that's been the biggest, hurdle. But I'm trying my best as these, again, that's why the SIP Shops toolkit would be amazing, because these are the little quirks and issues that, we can clarify from the beginning. So that's something that I'm trying to be better about when people are signing up as a vendor form. If you haven't seen a vendor form before, this is what it looks like. Sometimes people forget to fill out the signature, but make sure you do. And then this one's pretty easy. This is the information that we need in order to mail you the check, the date that your SIP shops was held on, the amount that we'll be paying you with. If you're not sure of what that looks like, let me know. And that's where your signature goes. That's where my signature goes. And that's where my boss's signature goes. So that. And again, my role in these as a SIP Shops facilitator is to just help you identify and collaborate with local groups, form a planning committee. I don't have the answers, but I love bringing in other people that do. I don't have all the answers, but I love bringing in other people that do, and really just making you feel like you're not alone in this mission. There are amazing people in our communities. We just have to reach out to them. Utilizing colleges, coalitions, faith-based groups, and I can also help with like funding, creative, promoting creative ideas, training, sustainability. I want to give huge props to Creoaks because they had asked us for a food stipend. We worked something out, but they worked out a great partnership with, was it the Oklahoma Food Drive or the food bank that you guys worked with to
The
get?
food bank.
Oh my gosh, yeah, fantastic. And you guys, of course, did that all on your own, and I applaud you for it, because I think you guys are taking care, your food's taken care of for the rest of the year. So that's amazing. I think at least my boss and my own brain always tries to look for those opportunities where we can get the funding. If we can make our money spread out as much as we can, we always try to do that. So if there's anybody that's willing to like fund the food side of things, it's always a huge help. But now, without further ado, if you do have any questions, I don't want to keep you guys for too long, so just put them into chat, and I'll answer them as our presenters are going. But I would love to turn the mic over to our SIP Shops and Respite speakers. So if you are on this call, and you are the leader or the facilitator for a Respite or a SIP Shops, I'd love for you to unmute yourselves and let's see, I think I have enough time. These are big questions. I think these are the top 3 questions that I think a lot of us are coming to hear about. So I'll let you guys just popcorn on your own. What are the key considerations when planning inclusive events for people with and without disabilities? So, and if popcorn method doesn't work out, then I'm gonna have to call you guys out. But if you would like to unmute yourself and answer this first question, what are some key considerations when planning inclusive events for people with and without disabilities?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is location. because we have had to look at our families and where they lived in order to determine like where we wanted the camp, for instance. And so we need to make sure, is it wheelchair accessible for, maybe like a physical disability, that kind of thing.
Mm. Perfect location. Got it. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
to piggyback on that, I think so too, and having enough space, because we have a lot of children that come to our respite side that need the space to roam. And if we were in a really tight area, that would not work well for those children.
So I'm hearing definitely location. Yoha and Miriam, Almita, what are the key considerations when planning inclusive events for people with and without disabilities? And of course, we're talking about it in the sense of planning and logistics. ¿Cuáles son unas consideraciones cuando usted está planeando un evento para personas con y sin discapacidades que usted siempre toma en mente al diseñar un evento?
I would say that we take into consideration allergies of all the the children that they're going to attend, also the volunteers as well. What else? Well, Eva created a very good jot form, and now that we're giving this to parents, so they need to sign up all the children when they are going to participate in Agape Corner, and then they tell us the things they like, the things they don't like, also if they have some allergies, if they have something that an emergency contact and things like that. So I think this is very important to include.
Yes, and we also get permission to share the photos with that same
yes
document.
Gotcha. So even before they're stepping into your sip shops, you already know their allergies. You're asking them what they like, what they don't like, emergency contacts, and permission to view photos. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Awesome. Almita or Miriam, do you guys have any other considerations when planning events for people with and without disabilities? Algunas consideraciones al planear un evento para personas con y sin discapacidades que ustedes mantienen en mente.
Bueno, yo voy a hablar un poquito de como la comida.
Uh-huh.
Nosotros siempre cuando hacemos el Sibshops, pues ofrecemos comida, pero para todos, ¿verdad? Que van los papás, niños y los hermanos y los niños con discapacidad. Entonces tratamos de tener como pensar en como qué le gusta a cada quien, igual hacemos una comida más fuerte, pues buscar también tipo de comida que tal vez comerían los padres y comerían los niños especiales, porque sabemos que batallar un poco con eso.
Uh-huh.
Ella puede hablar de las actividades, pero ella es la que las organiza, pero siempre le doy yo como a ella la referencia de que sean actividades que puedan hacer juntos. Y sin una discapacidad. Pero Miriam te habla un poquito más de las actividades.
Okay. So before Miriam goes, I'll just translate real quick. She mentioned food is something that they try to consider a lot. So they'll typically choose foods that, and they don't skimp on food either. They go kind of hard on food. So they'll do an adult dinner, and then they'll also do some food like finger foods or foods that kids typically eat. So they try to be considerate about the foods that different people eat, and as well as Miriam can speak on the activities, but Almita really tries to encourage that the activities are activities that siblings with and without disabilities can do together, and I love that. Yeah, Miriam, do you have any insight on the activities? Mm-hmm.
So what I do, I planned to whatever activity I'm going to do, I try to make sure that it's fun but easy because and I always encourage my siblings, like we have like two that come that have um a disability, but they also join in and they love to do the activity with the other kids and they help them out. So it's not that hard and they encourage them. They like if we play soccer, they say, "Oh, you can do it. Here, I'll help you." So we try to let the other kids know, "Hey, we need you to really help out to show them how we do the games and all that," and which has been going pretty good. So we just do easy games, but also fun games for them to also join in with them.
Gotcha. And in your and Miriam, like typically in your sip shops, are there always siblings with disabilities, or do you guys like
I have about two.
okay that are
They're
always in your
like
sip shop?
like 14, 15, yes. I
Got
have
it.
one that is like 19.
Okay. And do you feel like that has helped the conversations, or has it made it more difficult for the siblings to share
Actually,
their
no,
experience?
he's very involved. He likes talking. He's very shy, but he likes, to hear things and to hear what the brothers and sisters have to say.
Mm,
And he loves to do the games. He loves to participate. He loves to do a lot of the stuff. And like one day we were doing a painting and he goes, "Oh, I forgot my painting." And he ran outside and he came back. He said, and I go, "What did you forget?" And he goes, "My painting." And I go, "Oh, okay." And he was 19, but he loved that.
Oh, I love that. Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome, Miriam. Let me move on to the next question. How do you ensure that event is accessible to our participants, including those with different disabilities? Um, I feel like you guys have answered that already, so let me skip to what do you think has worked effectively for your SIP shops in terms of outreach? Um, ¿Qué piensan ustedes que han hecho para trabajar efectivamente en, crear conciencia sobre SIP shops? O, you know, help me out. My brain is fried. Compartir esa información sobre sus SIP shops. What do you think has worked effectively for your SIP shops in terms of outreach? So I'm going to start with, or you know what, you guys, popcorn. What do you think?
Facebook for us, for sure.
Why do you want to talk live?
I was going to say, we kind of cheat a little bit since we are two groups that come together. We're kind of three now, but we go to our respective groups. And so Creoaks being mental health facility, they advertise it to their families of those receiving their services. And then the association, we have an all Hispanic program. And so we went to the families who were utilizing the free support groups that they were doing. And so we specifically have a support group for parents with children who have special needs. And so we went to all of them. And I feel like that's been a good way to get, a good chunk of people that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And no worries, Kayla. I appreciate you coming. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think the mental health organizations have been amazing at collaborating. I don't know if it's just the Tulsa team that's amazing, but I hope it's not. And I hope more of us can reach out to these agencies and get the same support that they've provided for Tulsa. Um, or let's see, Lakeisha, Almita, Miriam, Eva, or no, Eva said. Mm-hmm.
I think Facebook has been effective for our SIP shop as well. We've probably had about 4 people come from Facebook. I post our flyer like in the autism groups or the parent support groups. So Facebook has worked out for us as well as everything else Chelsea said.
And this, when we're saying outreach, you guys are answering primarily for families, right? Like not so much volunteers. Mm-hmm. Or have you?
We
Yeah,
try that with volunteers. We create a volunteer flyer every month and then we try to get it in our church newsletter. And then we also have it, we post it on Facebook and share it wherever we go.
gotcha. So you guys make 2 different flyers to avoid confusion, Eva? Has that
Yes, we did. And plus we specify too that if you plus we want to, what we said in our flyer, because the feedback we were getting from church was, I don't feel qualified, I don't have any experience. And so we put on the flyer that, no experience necessary, just a disposition to play. And so we kind of, designed that flyer so people wouldn't feel like it was something they couldn't do.
See, I appreciate that, you. That's a little golden nugget right there, because I'm pretty sure as Roan is reaching out to more of these, like, you know, agencies, more of these families, that's something that she might want. She's probably going to want to consider in her, outreach efforts
Yeah,
as
and
well.
that's Yoha. Yoha designed that flyer. So
I
kudos
love
to
it.
Yoha on that.
Yoha, the Canva queen.
No, and but Eva is the one who is like creating the jot forms and the QR codes. And yeah, at the beginning, I didn't hear you, Eva, to say your thorns and your flowers, because we're like, I think we're like creating this Agape Corner together, and it's been like very nice.
hmm Eva, did I skip your flowers and thorns?
Yes, but that's totally fine.
No, Eva,
No, it was like I want.
dang it.
I deserve to be skipped because
No.
I was being naughty because I was teasing you in chat, but then I deleted it because I was teasing how you spelled poto.
No, I don't know these little towns. No, Eva,
I was trying to like your spelling on your chat, and then it disappeared because I guess you deleted it. I'm glad you said you deleted it because
I did, because I thought, I don't want to make her think. I want her to know I'm joking. So
no, I always know you're joking. Eva, give us your flower. Give us your flower. What was a good flower?
my flower was last time. I just happened to be talking to a family on the phone because they reached out with some other needs, and I knew that mom was having some upcoming issues. And anyway, they ended up bringing 3 children, 2 for Sibshops and 1 for Respite last time. But I found out when Dad dropped them off or Mom texted me and told me Dad was bringing them because she was in the hospital, and it was just a perfect timing for them to have that 3 hours. So that was definitely we call it thorns and roses, but yeah. And then the thorn is the struggle every month for volunteers and fretting because we're always limited to how many kids we can have, to how many volunteers we have. So
yeah, I hear you loud and clear on that one. And I'm almost like, that's why I like that Chelsea and Lakeisha hopped on, because I'm wondering if there's like a version of you guys in Norman that we're just maybe not aware of. I don't know, Lakeisha and Chelsea, like you guys have been so wonderful to work with. Like, do you guys know if there's an interest like you all in Norman that we could maybe pull volunteers from?
I don't personally know, but I was wondering if you could connect with the college.
OU?
OU, because I feel like students, I know that whenever I was in school, I had required like community service hours that I had to do to keep my scholarship and, to stay in organizations and that kind of thing. And so I feel like they're old enough, so you don't have to worry about parent consent or whatever. Usually they're at least 18 and over, and a lot of times they're very willing and hopefully they're very helpful. And so that's kind of my first go-to is like the college scene.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Eva, what is in Yoha? There's a quirk to you guys though. If you get a volunteer that's interested, they have to have like a background check. How long? So if they want to volunteer, how early should they reach out to you before your next tip shops?
well, we can do it if we have a week's notice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
That's just a requirement of our church, is to use their space. Everyone over the age of 18 has to have a background check.
And what's your ideal number, and how many have you been short?
We've been making it. We have 9 to 10, but we would really, one of the things that we honestly learned early on is we can't just have 1-to-1 and no floater, because we learned we need to build in breaks for those volunteers, because it's hard when you have a child that has really high needs and running and they're already not used to working with children like that. We've got to build in breaks. So
Yeah.
Ideally 10, and we were making it. I think one month we had 8, if I remember right.
Gotcha. Wow, that's awesome. That's so good, and definitely a lesson sibling camp taught me as well. But I'm glad we're implementing it as well and into our sip shops respites.
I have a
Johan,
question for
yeah, go
Miss
ahead.
Eva.
Mhm.
Have you? Well, first of all, are there any like mental health agencies in Norman?
Yeah, I would say we're like the hub of mental health agencies,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
But
I
no,
was
I
gonna
have not
ask if you
reached
all
out to
had
them.
like a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. You're right, though. I should reach out to Systems of Care or some place like that and talk to them about a partnership.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest.
Good idea.
Yeah, love
And
this combo. Johan, do you have anything else?
yes, and then yeah, like Agape, our goal, we started December like last year, so we're gonna have 1 year in a month, and then our goal was gonna be like being able to provide Agape Corner every month, but
Mhm.
we are providing every other month because the same thing that we are like looking for volunteers for people. So I think we're gonna stay with every other month as well.
Mhm. Okay, every other month. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean we wish to to be like to offer this program every month, but
Yeah.
then we don't have like enough volunteers to recruit from 1 month to another. So that's the thing.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it's really just manpower and volunteers that
Yes.
are the barrier. No, absolutely. Um, before I move on to the next question, Almita, Miriam, do you guys have any feedback to the question? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go back to it. Uh, yeah, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add to the conversation?
Sobre el audio,
No.
sobre el audio, siempre se me traba la lengua.
The outreach, yeah, como que,
Ah,
cómo se han compartido la información a las familias, cómo se han conectado con a lo mejor voluntarios o agencias, ajá.
sí. Pues te recuerdas que hace un año, y ahorita me recordaba que alguien dijo por ahí, vamos a comenzar y estoy batallando porque nadie se inscribe. ¿Recuerdas que hace un año cuando empezó a Raíces de Amor, nadie se inscribía?
Oh.
Dile a esa persona que no se preocupe, que la gente llega.
Yes. She said like there was somebody that said like they were worried that there was only 3. That was Kayla from Weatherford. There's only 3 people coming into her into her sip shops. She was like, "Don't worry about it. The first meeting we had, only 1 family showed up." She's like, "They will come, so don't worry about it." Mhm.
Sí, bueno, pues nosotros fuimos al radio, tenemos Facebook, últimamente salimos en el periódico y
Mhm.
particularmente he hecho que pienso que a mí me ha funcionado. Sé que Miriam también tiene, con los jovencitos también tienen un grupo donde ella les textea a ellos y siempre están en comunicación ahí. Pero lo mismo he hecho yo con las mamás. Nosotros usamos WhatsApp
Mm.
y ahí las tengo yo a todas las mamás y aparte de estar siempre recordando, tenemos sitio, esto, lo otro, yo lo que hago ahí es que las mantengo conectadas y les estoy mandando toda la información de los eventos que hay para familias especiales y recursos y si van a regalar comida en alguna parte, si
Mm.
pañales, cosas X, los recursos que encuentro yo en la comunidad les comparto. Entonces es una manera de mantener
Mm.
conectadas a todas las familias.
Yes. That's really smart. So she said, yeah, and Almita is quite the marketing guru, you guys. So they've been on the radio, Facebook. Recently, they made the what is it? La primera plana. They were on the first page of the newspaper, with how amazing their 1 year anniversary went. She's mentioned that Miriam has a group chat that she has with the kiddos. So she has a similar group chat with the parents. But one of the ways that she keeps parents engaged and keeps them kind of in the loop with, hey, a reminder, we have a sip shops this Friday. One of the things that she does is she'll like share resources or like food drives or upcoming events in that group chat. And it's kind of a way to make sure that they're staying engaged and, obviously they're staying for the support, but also the resources. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
great.
I have a question for Almita. Almita, how do you do with volunteers? ¿Cómo haces para los voluntarios?
Bueno, ahí sí batallamos un poco de repente, pero tengo 2 hijas, entonces la de 17 sí está en Sibshops, creo que es la mano derecha de Miriam, y la otra nos está ayudando con los niños. Sí tengo 2 ayudantes voluntarias para cuidar a los niños especiales, que es más que todo. Más que todo, Miriam no usa voluntarios porque todos los niños, digamos así, los jovencitos que Miriam tiene, son casi todos bien grandes de edad. Miriam literalmente no usa voluntarios para realizar el sitio. Lo que nosotros los usamos es para el cuidado de los niños, con una condición que los ponemos en otra parte mientras los papás y mamás están conmigo y con mi esposo en el grupo de apoyo de los padres. Entonces, sí batallamos a veces un poquito para el cuidado de los niños porque son muchos.
Yeah.
Este pasado, ahorita Miriam nos podría decir porque eran bastantes los jovencitos que ella tenía, pero eran aproximadamente 7 familias. Entonces, cada familia lleva a veces hasta 3, 4. Entonces, son bastantes niños.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she said, she obviously asked like how she does with volunteers. She said that they have been struggling with volunteer support. The thing is that, well, she has 2 daughters, one that's 17 and one that's older. So they kind of step in and help with the respite when is needed. But since the sip shops is like composed of older kiddos, they don't any volunteers that they have typically aren't needed. Thank you so much, Eva. No worries. They typically aren't needed in the respite group. So all the volunteers that she has, she'll like funnel them to the respite group. But she has struggled with, maintaining the manpower because some families will bring 3 or 4 kids and it's just even one family starts to get a lot. So I hear you guys loud and clear. Definitely we're needing some like respite support. Local libraries may have volunteer help. That's a great idea, Lakeisha. So, Almita, Lakeisha recomendó quizás las bibliotecas locales tengan algunos grupos de voluntarios que les estén interesados para, para apoyar local libraries. Obviamente, las escuelas también, like schools, high schools especially. But one thing we didn't even get to, and I think that's probably would have been really helpful. Again, I think we might do a part 2, part 3 of this. But when you get these volunteers, like how are you guys navigating the background checks? Are they paying for them? Are the volunteers paying for the background checks themselves? Obviously, we're working with a vulnerable population, so that's a whole can of worms itself. So, por ejemplo, Almita, si conseguimos voluntarios de la biblioteca o de las escuelas, obviamente como es una población vulnerable, tendríamos que hacerles un tipo de revisión de antecedentes. So, for those that are still on, like, how are you guys navigating those background checks? Are they paying for them themselves? Are you guys paying? Do you guys have a budget to pay for the background checks? How are you guys doing that?
Our agency pays for ours. And anyone that wants to come out to volunteer, they'll pay for that one too. So not just specifically for sip shops.
Awesome. Yoha or even Rona, like what are y'all's conversations look like with volunteers?
Yeah, volunteers. I mean, Eva, she got a scholarship or a grant. It wasn't a lot of money, but we're paying for volunteers. I mean, not paying for them. We're paying for their background check. Yes.
Okay. Do you know, Yoha, it might be awesome to share that grant. Do you know what grant you guys applied for?
I don't know, but I can send you the link.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. So, Almita, ellos aplicaron para como una donación de fondos y con eso es que fueron pagando los antecedentes de las personas que estaban interesados en ser voluntarios. So, ella va a compartir el programa con nosotros y a lo mejor apoyamos a que apliquen la próxima vez. And then, Almita and Miriam, how are you guys vetting your volunteers? And Rona, how are you guys vetting your volunteers?
For us in Stillwater, most of our volunteers are coming from the public school or the church, and they've already been background checked.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Okay.
I am on the OSU portal, and I've gotten a few through there, and they're not necessarily background checked, but I'm interviewing them, and we'll be following the church where we're having it has policies in place. They're pretty strict about never being alone with a child
Mm,
anywhere in the building or out of. Well, there's just policies in place that we'll be following,
I love
and
that.
we're also not spreading across the whole building. We're in a
Yeah.
fairly confined gymnasium with one room, so that's so far how we're planning to handle it. But
Yes. I think next meeting I'm gonna try really hard to get St. Mark's on here because they do very similar procedures. There's obviously like a code of conduct. Unity Circle and I did a video that we can share where we talk about like, hey, a 2-to-1 if you go to the bathroom. Other than that, like make sure you're always in a public space where everyone else is at. Don't go hiding because sometimes people don't know. You don't always want to assume the worst, but some people don't know. Like, hey, don't take them like as a timeout. Don't take them on by themselves to that little corner. You're right. So there's a code of procedures, code of conduct, and it's just good to have those kinds of like rules that we can share. And that Rona, like maybe collaborating together to make something like cohesive would be a great addition to the toolkit for those that want to build a respite sip shops. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I just want you to answer one question before we head out. And if this was a question that I wanted to end on, what inspires you to create events that bring people with and without disabilities together? And I'm going to start with Miriam. Miriam, what inspires you? ¿Qué te inspira para crear eventos para personas con y sin discapacidades?
I think just what makes them happy. I like to see happiness, and I think like getting to see their happy face, their emotion. I mean, something to give back.
I love that. Thank you, Miriam. Chelsea, what's something that sorry, let me read the question. What inspires you to create events that bring people with and without disabilities together?
I have to follow that answer. All right. So, I feel like it's really important to have inclusion because some events maybe aren't appropriate. If it's not set up correctly or, what have you. And so to make sure that everybody knows that they're invited, and then so that they can also get that peer support, so that they know that they're not alone and, they have other people that they can talk to about, their situations.
I love that. That's a great answer. Lakeisha.
So I'll be honest, at first I only did it because I had to do it for my job, the program we have. So there was like really no inspiration there. But when we started it, I got to feeling like, oh my gosh, this is like so cool and awesome, and they really, really need it. I think that they need the education so they can kind of know what disabilities look like. They know like there are some exceptional children out here, and they're really no different than you. They just maybe learn different or just look a little different or something like that. So I did want to share another flower with you. We have a session where we spend like maybe like 10 minutes explaining. Well, Chelsea explains like what a disability looks like and a mental health condition and things like that. So we did add that to our agenda.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh, that's such a good flower. Thank you for sharing that, Lakeisha.
Uh huh.
And yeah, if you guys don't know Lakeisha, she's got strong auntie energy, so she's a fan favorite for sure. I'm glad I'm glad you love it now, Lakeisha. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
Yoha, could you answer the question real quick?
Yes, I think the most important thing for me is inclusion. I think like I agree with my friends here. Because yeah, it is so important. Well, I always like to say this, that I think all of us, like human beings, we are like different flowers in the same garden. So, and we kind of like compare like a cactus with a rose, because each one is like beautiful the way they are, and we all belong here.
Oh, Joha, that's beautiful. Thank you. I love that. I love ending on this. You guys made my night. Rona, could you answer the question real quick, please?
Yes, my motivation is pretty clear and it's pretty selfish and it's pretty simple because I've just seen events like this over the years with people coming together. It's to change the world for my daughter with Down syndrome and autism. I've seen so many people that have worked for us or volunteered at events. I've seen students go into different fields because they met people like my daughter. The more people that are exposed to people with special needs, the more accepting her world becomes. So my motivation is entirely selfish.
I love it. I love it. Selfishly selfless, honestly. Um, Almita, ¿cuál? Sí, sí sabe la pregunta, la quité de ahí,
Sí,
pero
no,
sí.
sí. Estoy completamente de acuerdo con Rona. Ah, eh, para mí, el crear eventos, más que todo, es crear un lugar seguro para mi hijo. Es como cuando yo voy a los eventos que hacen ustedes, Amanda, y yo voy a un evento sabiendo que es un evento para familias especiales. Yo estoy totalmente tranquila, estoy tan relajada, sabiendo que cualquier cosa que mi hijo haga o no quiera hacer o quiera hacer, nadie lo va a juzgar. Entonces, decía ella, ¿es algo egoísta? Sí, también yo, porque al hacerlo sé que las personas vienen y están en un lugar tan seguro, pero que mi hijo también va a estar seguro en ese lugar. Entonces, es hacer espacios seguros para nuestros niños. Eso es lo que a mí me inspira a hacer estos eventos.
Oh, Almita, you guys, I want to give you guys a big hug, a virtual hug. And she said, Rona, amen. She says, my passion for creating a safe space is also for my child, so that they can have an event where, or because she goes to events and she goes to events for people with disabilities, and she feels this overwhelming sense of peace, of calmness, because she knows that the events that she's going to are designed for her child, and it doesn't matter what he does, what he doesn't do, or the fits that he throws or whatever sounds he makes. She knows that he's not going to be judged. And she says it is selfish, but it's not, because she wants to create a safe space for other people, but she also wants to create a safe space for her child. So I love it. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the work that you do. And I'm going to stick around in case you guys have any additional questions. Please keep an eye out for that doodle poll. I'm going to send up a follow-up email, but please don't forget to vote on that doodle poll, because I want us to have more meetings like these, and where we all learn and, get a good feeling out of our collaboration. So keep an eye out for that email and fill out that doodle poll, and we'll be in touch. Thank you guys so much. You have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sam, for everything.
Thank you, Johan, for all you do.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.